Hi, I'm adjusting my camera. Let's paint some birches, some fall foliage. So you'll need a piece of watercolor paper oriented vertically like this. I have my pad set up so that I have it in, this is 5 by 7 inches. You could do a larger size if you wanted. I kind of did some rough sketching. That's not going to be helpful at all. So we're just going to go for this. Now, I am doing birches, and I'm going to admit that I am using my bleed proof white because I want to. It makes it easier. So, you know, birch trees are white, or like white and brown. So if you are a person who uses masking fluid, you can sort of like mask the paper out with your masking fluid where you want your birch trees. And then afterward, you would remove the masking fluid and have that white. I don't do that. I don't want to do that. I use my bleed proof white. Now, you could also just make this a scene where you have dark trunks instead of worrying about making them white. So basically, first I'm going to paint in some just trunks kind of all over. I'm going to let it dry completely, and then I'm going to add in the foliage colors. So over here, I'm going to mix up a brown. I have some browns already in my palette. I do have a free color mixing class. There's a link if you want to learn more about mixing these colors if you don't have a brown in your palette. But even using my brown, I usually add some stuff to it because like it's not usually the brown that I want. So I just added some yellow. And I'm using my size 6 round Princeton Heritage brush, which is what I almost always use. And I'm just going to kind of map these out. Like in the foreground, I'll probably do a little more foliage. I don't care about them looking perfect because I'm going to put some more color over it. And I'm just holding my brush like so and applying gentle pressure. And I'm just going to kind of have it go up like this. I don't really care where it ends. It's probably just going to be covered kind of in foliage. I'm going to load my brush back up. Do maybe a thinner one back here. I don't know. I just want it to be sort of random. Maybe I'll start one here, a little thicker. You just want it to kind of have a variety. You don't want it to all, or maybe you do. Sometimes you might just want to do a forest scene where it's all like straight up and down trees. That's a possibility too. This one I'm looking for a little more variety. Making that a little too wide. It's all good. This is just sort of a sketch of what we want it to look like. We're going to add a lot more stuff to it. Okay, do that right up to the top. And maybe I'll have something else in the corner here. I say corner, but it's not really the corner. It's more like just the side. I usually like to leave a little white border around mine. So let's pretend that's what I'm doing. I feel like I threw that off balance a bit, so I'm gonna add another one over here somehow. So I'm right-handed and I like to rest my hand on the paper, and now this might be wet, so my trick is to put my one arm down and rest my other arm on it so that I'm not putting my hand right in here. Maybe I'll do a couple in the back here. So I'm going to go back over these later with some white and leave some brown. If you don't have the white, like I said, you could just leave it. Maybe I'll do one more here. Kind of like it goes back behind, like so. Okay, gonna leave that just like that, let it dry, and then we'll come back and start doing some more detail. All right, now that these are dry, we are going to start adding in a lot more detail, a lot more stuff all over the place. And I hit record before I had gathered every brush that I wanted because that's what I do. There it is. So mostly I am going to be using my round brushes that I was using before, but I might also use this, which is a, what do you call this? It even still has the sticker on it. It's like a flat brush. It's just got that flat kind of tip, and it can be good for like going like this sideways to make kind of leaf shapes. I'm not going to use it yet. So I want to mix up several different, so like I have this kind of mustardy color, which you could get by mixing like yellow, red, maybe a touch of a opposite color in there to add that kind of brownish tinge. And I don't know, I'm just going to kind of like, let's pretend this tree is this mustard color. And this is really just going to be a lot of different colors because there's so much going on in the forest. You're not going to know what is from what. We're going to do all that. And then I'm going to make it a little bit darker by adding a little bit of blue to it. So it got it a little browner. I'm going to do some darker sections. And then I'll probably add some bright yellow as well. I'm just doing straight up bright yellow for some highlights. And this may be one of the trees that I don't go back and do anything else to. And then I'm just going to pretend there's some like yellow something here. I don't know what. The whole scene is going to be pretty chaotic, and that's what I'm going for. Now I'm going to use, do you hear that hawk screaming? I'm going to use more of a magenta, almost like a maroon kind of color. That's too purple. How do I mix colors? I just keep mixing them until they look like reasonably close to what I want. And I'm looking for a dark, kind of maroony. You can't see what's going on over here, but I should hold this over here. I've got that color. That is not what I want. So I'm going to continue adding to it. That's more like what I want. Okay, I added some red to that. That's better. And then we're going to do some reds. I don't care if these bleed into that. That's totally fine. It's part of the joy of creating. Do some little wisps of something down here. Some little leaf shapes in that same color down here. I'm going to gather more and just keep, I'm just kind of like using the body of my brush to just make some shapes. Now that I think about it, I probably should have done a wash in the back, like a light brown, but I didn't, and here we are. Now I'm going to mix up a yellow, an orange, which I'll just mix my kind of primary red with my medium yellow. I do not love orange. It is not one of my favorite colors to work with. I'm probably not going to do too much here with it. Maybe another little something fiery going on here. Maybe some little something happening here. Maybe there's a few. I mean, I love orange as a fall color, of course, but in general, you won't see much orange in my paintings. I'm going to add a lot more. I'm going to add some Naples yellow to that because I want it to be a different orange. You could also just hold the way, change the way you're holding your brush. You could go up and down like this for little teeny tiny pricks of color. You could drag more like this or push down the full belly of your brush to get a fuller kind of stroke. And I'll show you if you want to use, if you have one, a flat brush like this. I'm going to make that even more kind of yellowy. You can hold it sideways. It's going to hit it's hitting my thing. Let me hold it up here. You can do like, you can't even see what I'm doing. Fail. You can kind of hold it, you can hold it like this to get these long sideways. It kind of looks like, you know, a cascading of leaves, of branches. And that can be fun too. I like to work both wet on wet and dry. You can also, this is easy if you hold this like this, you can, it's easy to get some long thin lines. It's getting pretty dry down here. That's okay. I don't mind just a little dry going on. I think I am going to add a more vibrant red. I'm switching back over to my size 6 brush, and I've got mixed up kind of a vibrant red. I just mix really quickly and just go with it. Maybe you have figured that out. Maybe some of these down there are like a little bush that has like berries on it, kind of a thing. I like that idea. And then maybe there's some little delicate little reds over here. Because there's stuff in the forest in the way back. We don't know where the colors are coming from. There's stuff on these trees that we can see. There's stuff growing in the foreground. We just don't know, you know? We don't know, you know? I am mixing quite a deep kind of purplish, reddish purplish color, like even darker than that one, to do some, it's just good to have a variety of shades. It just gives it more visual interest. This might be a little too dark, but we're gonna do some in the background here. It'd be really good if something was wet and it would kind of mix in. You just never know what you're gonna find in the forest. Do a little there, do some back here. It'd be good if it mixed with this dark color here. Let it mix in with that red too. Okay. And now I feel that I need some more yellow. So I'm adding just some cadmium medium yellow here to my orange. And we'll just do some more yellow here. Kind of let it go all over. Yellow back here. Maybe there's some yellow happening here, here. Maybe there's some over here also, back here that we don't know about. So the mixing of wet on wet is great. You don't want too much to where things get muddy. So if an area is really wet, you might want to stay away from it a bit. Okay, so now even though this is a fall scene, you will still have some green. So I'm mixing up, I don't know, some green gold. There are always colors on my palette that are like previously used that I'm just kind of adding to. So this is kind of like a smoky kind of green. I'm just gonna do some down here like that. And then some here that will mix in maybe if that yellow's still wet. And then maybe up here, there's some more green, kind of filling in the white spots. And now it's mixing with that. I don't see, that's getting a little too, I don't want it to get too muddy. So I'm gonna stop working in that area. Grab a little more. I've added a little bit of blue to it. Maybe back here, there's some more stuff. Maybe there's some like, who knows what that is. There's just some different stuff happening here in the forest. All over the place. It's just a riot of color. I'm sure I've told you, I'm just using straight up red now right here. I'm sure I've told you that I grew up in New England And I do love the fall foliage. The fall foliage is nice in Western North Carolina in the mountains where I live now, but it is not the same as where I grew up, for sure. I think there are more deciduous trees, more types of deciduous trees in New England. Oh, I didn't even tell you. I'm just switching to some yellow. I don't know. I know there's gonna end up being white space in this, but I don't want it to feel like there's a lot of white space. So I'm just doing a variety, and I'm trying to work in areas that aren't too wet. So I do want there to be a bunch of different colors. And I think part of what I may go back and do is like darken up some of these trees. So there's some contrast, and then some of them, as you know, we're gonna add white to, or you can leave them. I might do that right now. Let me get a nice dark brown going. I have some browns in my palette, as I said. Might add a little black, might add some other colors for some nice undertones. Yellow, maybe some Naples yellow. That's not brown enough though. I know you can't see what I'm doing. Okay, I've mixed this color and I'm just gonna do like a little skinny, it might still be wet on the yellow too, but that's okay. That's all right. It's gonna go back here, behind, and go down here. It's not gonna look perfect because there's a lot going on. There might be some branches coming off, and some of it will bleed, that's okay. I mean, part of the beauty of using watercolors is just letting them be watercolors. I never strive to make things look, you know, like a photograph. A photograph. A photograph, I want them to look, you know, like they're watercolors. And sometimes the bleeding and the sort of happy accidents, as Bob Ross would call them. So that upped my, help me with my words here, people. That upped my contrast a bit. I'm happy with how that worked out. I may do that to another one like back here later. So I don't want to work in that area anymore right this second. So I think I'm going to just add some orange bushiness up front. And once stuff is dry, you can kind of paint over it and not have any ill effects, like things mixing in a way that you don't want. I feel like I need some dark green at the base of this so it disappears a little more. Okay, maybe not dark green, maybe dark blue. I'm gonna add some more green gold to that color so it's a little bit darker over here. And maybe add a little of that dark green just kind of throughout in a few different spots, because there will still be green even in this kind of setting. All right, I'm gonna let this rest, and then when it's completely dry, I'm gonna come back and definitely add white into this, probably this one, maybe add some more dark branches, and then potentially a few more punches of color, but for now I'm just gonna let it rest like this. All right, let's see if we can finish this up. If you are not using white, or if you are using masking fluid, if you're using masking fluid, you would wanna remove it now. I'm guessing you're not using masking fluid, but maybe you are. So I'm using my bleed proof white. If you do not want to add any white, if you're not going that route, you could darken up some of your branches to add more contrast while I'm doing this. So I have too much on I'm just kind of brushing it across horizontally. I don't need it to look perfect, and I am going to add more what do you call it? As I've said, I can't think and paint. So I'm just going to stop talking. When it starts to get a little see-through, transparent, I'm going to pick up more. So on the one hand, I am doing some just strokes. On the other hand, I am, like this area, I filled in a bit. Do the edges. There is usually some, oh goodness gracious, I have this other wet painting over here that I keep dipping my hand into. That's okay. I don't want it to look too straight. Okay, so I'm making these strokes across. I want it to go the same direction as like you would expect. I don't know, the tree is round like this, so I don't want it to go up and down. I don't need it to be perfect. I will probably go back and add in some dark brown. Right now I'm just trying to get back that white of the tree. I think I'm gonna probably make this tree dark and let this one be a birch, kind of. As much as I love trees and gardening, I'm better at knowing what a flower is than a tree is. Like, I mean, I know what a maple is, and I know we have silver maples in our yard, but I only know they're silver maples because we had them trimmed several years ago. And the dude who cut them told me, and then, or told my husband, and then we have Bradford pears, which are apparently terrible, terrible, but they came with the house, and there are like 12 of them. So to have them removed would be just a gigantic undertaking that they line the side of the driveway. There's a field next to the house, and it kind of like blocks the view of the field. And they've been there a long time. So now you can see we're kind of getting that birch feel. I'm definitely going to make this one white as well. Again, just kind of going back and forth across. Again, it's kind of like a lot of times when I paint, it's sort of like the essence of the thing rather than trying to make it look exactly like the thing. And if you are into making it look exactly like the thing, more power to you. There we go. All right, now we have 3 birches. I'm going to make that one into a birch also. That one is a very, very skinny little branch, but I think I'll still try to go across like this. Maybe I'll do some up and down. I don't know. Apparently I am going to do that because I just did. Just going to do some white here and there because some of this is also tree. And I'm going to make this one a birch. I guess most paintings I do end up being technically watercolor and ink because I use this bleed-proof white. And then in a lot of my paintings, I'll do like a bright, colorful background and then add a silhouetted like black tree, which is also, I use pens, but they have ink in them. Cool. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna wash out my brush and I am gonna go back and darken that. I may add a little more detail, but so far so good on the white. I'm using some of that dark color that I had mixed up before for this tree branch. I have something else wet there. I'm gonna try to get over here. So just real thin lines. I don't need it to cover exactly because and some branches going off. Oops. Makes me laugh. Maybe I'll go in and just do some more color here. I know this is supposed to be a birch tree, but Maybe I'll add some dark branches. Maybe there's some other really thin little trees back here that we can't quite see, but maybe we can make out bits and pieces of them. So I'm just using the tip, the very tip, very lightly of my size 6 brush, just giving sort of like the essence again, the essence of maybe some more trees back here. I feel like this should be a little bit wider at the bottom, just a touch. And maybe add some dark into here. Maybe there's a little branch action back here. Again, just like skinny little bits and pieces that you might not even notice, and maybe I'll just do a little whisper of something down here. Load my brush back up. Maybe I'll even add some dark here just to give it some punch. Make it seem like it's got a bit of a shadow. Just make it stand out a little bit. Am I done? That's why I'm just stopping and staring. Overall, I'm pretty happy with that. It's pretty. Maybe I'll add a few more bright bursts of color here and there. I'm thinking I might add some bright yellow, just not diluted at all, kind of like just my medium cadmium yellow just here. Just to fill it in a bit. Maybe a little goes up here too. Maybe it goes out this way a bit. And I think I'm going to call that good. I may go back and add some more details, but I think I'm just going to leave that like that. It's got a lot of movement. It's fun to look at. It's got pretty colors. Maybe I'll go back in and do another layer of white to make it stand out a little bit more, but I'm gonna leave that as it is for now. So I hope you enjoyed, and share your work. I would love to see it. You can tag me on Instagram at Jen Pacici. Cool. Thanks for being here.